Hey y'all, welcome to another video about fashion. I'm excited to talk to you about putting outfits together by going through and I guess analyzing, maybe criticizing some of the outfits that I put together during my 2 weeks of doing the most at the beginning of March. I had planned to do this when I started the project. It was just 2 weeks during which I made a little extra effort to put together more interesting outfits, and then I posted each outfit on my Instagram stories. I was planning to do like a retrospective at the end of that project, but what happened was that towards the end of the 2 weeks, California went on lockdown, and as you'll see when we go through the 2 weeks of outfits, the last few really show what was happening in my life when COVID actually hit. So we will be talking about the outfits, but I also think that it'll be kind of an interesting look back and a way to maybe think about change, think about the year and what we're all going through together as a global community, and maybe even to think about the impact of that on the idea of fashion, the idea of dressing up, the idea of doing the most. If this happens to be your first time here, welcome. I am so glad you clicked on this video. My name is Hannah and I love beautiful things, but I have a troubled history with overspending on beautiful things. I've recovered from that overspending behavior and now I try really hard to keep a balance in my life, and I try to keep a balance on my channel by not promoting overspending. If that kind of balanced content sounds good to you, I hope that you'll subscribe. Let's go ahead now and get into the meat of this video. So before we launch into looking at the outfits, what does it mean to do the most? Like, what am I talking about when I say that I had resolved to do the most for 2 weeks? At the time, I was still working the job that I had before the pandemic hit. So I owned a small business. I made clothes for people who dance Argentine tango. And I had a studio that was separate from my apartment. They weren't very far apart from each other, though. So every day I was walking from my apartment to the studio, and then I was pretty much alone in the studio all day. Sometimes Joe would be there because he also worked as part of this business. I would pretty much be alone in the studio all day sewing or doing auxiliary work related to the running of that business. And then I would walk home at the end of the day. And of course, sometimes I would see people, sometimes I would go out to drinks or dinners and go to parties and stuff. But for the most part, it was just like me working for myself in my studio every day. I would sometimes see other people who worked in the building, and sometimes I'd, pass people in the street when I was walking to and from work or in my building, my apartment building. But because I worked for myself, there just weren't any standards. Like, I could have gone to work in my pajamas every day. And over time, because that was my lifestyle, I had kind of come to envy people who have a job for which it makes sense to do more. Like people who put together outfits every day to show up at their job because that was what was expected or that was the work environment. I was just kind of like craving a reason, a receptacle, a reason to do more, a receptacle for the doing of more when it comes to fashion, because that's something that I really enjoy. I really like putting together an outfit. I really enjoy doing the most. So by creating this Instagram project for myself, I was giving myself a receptacle, a reason to do the most, because my life circumstances weren't giving me enough of a reason on their own. But the idea was to do the most commensurate with my lifestyle. So I wasn't like putting on full glam and a ball gown or like a cocktail dress to go to work. I was doing the most for the circumstances, like within the realm of what the circumstances called for. I was doing the most. More drama, more polish, more statement, more risk, more editorial. I'm gonna go ahead and throw outfit number one up on the screen. So you're seeing the screen capture from my Instagram stories. This is maybe my favorite one. I feel like I really peaked early when I was doing this, doing the most project, because on day one I put this on and I just feel like I killed it. I hope that this video isn't too heavy on the me complimenting my past self for these outfits, because I feel like some of them do get me really excited, but you have to understand that I'm just like appreciating color and texture and fashion. I didn't design or make these clothes, you know what I mean? I just bought them and put them on. So it's really not I who is responsible for how special some of these things are. But obviously, one of the things that makes this outfit really great is that the color is high impact, this like orangey red, and it's like a shades of the same color monochromatic look. So it's not entirely matchy-matchy, right? Like the top and the pants aren't the same color. The top's more orange, the pants are more red, and then the bag is also red, but it looks like it's a little bit more of a lipstick red, whereas the pants are a little bit more of a rust red. All three of these colors come from the same tree, as I like to say. You know, they belong to the same family, and it makes a monochromatic look, but it's like different textures of the same color. And this is something that I love, and you'll actually see it showing up again later in the week. I had just never done it with this strong of a color that I can remember, and I had not done it with these exact things. I hadn't ever paired this top with these pants before, and then to also grab the bag. I could have toned it down a little bit. I could have done less if I had carried a black bag, for example, if I had had like less statement shoes on, or if I had not had the bag actually match the top and the pants, but I was doing the most. So I went with this red bag that added like a third element, a third texture, and a third shade of red orange. And then instead of toning it down with the shoes, because there was already the most going on with everything else, I decided to wear these palm print flats, these pointy palm print flats. So they are statement, and then there was a statement going on. I am a person who feels like more can really be more. So what I'm about to say about why I think this works so well is not to say that it wouldn't work if more were going on. I feel like maybe I should just say the thing and then amend it. What I was going to say is that I think one of the reasons this works so well is that the most on top, like the 3 shades of rusty orange, there's no print. It's very plain. It's all solid. So it's a strong color. It's a strongly monochromatic look. It's a bold statement color, but it's all just solid. And then the shoes, which are very statement and are really, you know, noticeable, and they really pop on the outfit, they are printed. So I think that that's part of how this feels like the most is going on, but it also still feels very, very balanced. That's not to say that these printed shoes don't work with prints, because I actually do love mixing prints, and I love wearing these printed shoes with like a printed dress or printed pants or something like that. But I think that in this case, one of the things that makes this outfit really sing is the fact that we have like a color statement and a print statement, and they're so contrasty. Red and green are opposite each other on the color wheel. So if you're wearing like a red-orange look, especially if it's like an orangey look that leans really red and you want something to super pop, green is a great choice, and vice versa. If you're wearing all green and you really want something to pop, a super strong solid red is a great choice. I will link everything down below, but I did resolve to talk about the individual pieces of clothing as I went through, and I feel like I've already really blown my wad on this first outfit because I've already been talking about it for 5 minutes. But the top is a wool, it's like a very, very fine merino wool high-necked tee, like a mock neck tee from COS. The pants are from the brand Donnie. And at the time, I was actually sharing a work building with Donnie, like with the Donnie headquarters. They had their offices on the same floor as my studio. And so I saw the women who run it, and I kind of got to see what they were doing from time to time. And I had actually purchased these pants at a sample sale that they had been holding out of their space. So that's like a really lovely thing to remember looking at this, because my studio is long gone and they've since moved to another building. So that time of life is squarely over. The bag, the red bucket bag, is from Teddy Blake. That is one of the best pieces of PR I have ever received. I absolutely love that like big, juicy statement color bucket bag. It's so good. It looks good with every outfit. I carry it a lot. I mean, I was carrying it a lot at this time of life before the pandemic hit and I stopped ever carrying my bags because I don't go anywhere. And the shoes are from the brand Schutz, and they were a gift from my friend Lauren of the YouTube channel Lauren May Beauty when we were out together at a thrift shop around the time of my birthday. And she was like, I want to get you a present. And that's what she got me. Okay, moving on to day 2. On day 2, I feel like I did the most, but in a very different way. I was working with print in a way that was more dramatic than I did on the first day, and still working with a palette, like a color palette, but it was a much more toned down color palette. So I'm wearing, actually, it might be a little bit hard to tell, but 3 prints in this outfit. There's the Suno top, which is a sweater. Suno is a brand that does the most exquisite prints. It's like a small, I think New York based, small brand, really, really special. And then I have a scarf, a silk scarf with little cats printed on it that I actually purchased, again, years ago before I started my YouTube channel. I purchased it at the shop And Other Stories. I'll link them down below too. I just fell in love with the print. And I remember that they had a dress with the print that was really nice, but it was not silk. It was like a polyester dress. The only thing that they had that was like of a really beautiful quality fabric with this print on it was this scarf. And I really wanted to have a piece of that print. I love the scarf too. I'll hold it up for you because you can't really see the print in the picture. This is the scarf. It's got this amazing like swirled tiger print on it. And I love this color. I love this like muddy, greeny brown. So I'm wearing that scarf around my neck, and already that I feel like is the choice of the day. Like to put a printed scarf like this along with that Suno shirt. You know, they both have like olive tones in them, but in different ways, and the prints definitely are dynamic together. But, you know, they live together. They kind of are evocative of each other, both graphic, both a little bit swirly. And then over top of that, I was wearing this unbelievably beautiful plaid overcoat that I was renting from Nuuly, because at that time I was still testing out Nuuly. I was renting like 4 or 5 pieces of clothing through this clothing rental service every month. And this coat is probably my favorite thing that I got the chance to wear because of Nuuly. It's by a brand called Michelle Waugh NY, Michelle Waugh New York. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's really expensive. I think it was worth something like $1,200 or $1,500. Like, it's a really expensive, really nice piece of clothing. And it was super exciting to rent it, but it really hurt to send it back. I was so sad. It's like, it was perfect. It was perfect. I even though I wouldn't be wearing it now because I don't go outside anymore and it's the heat of summer, I still miss it. I do really love how this outfit came together, and I feel like it's a testament to the way in which print on print on print can really work in a way that's not loud. I mean, it even feels like a little bit understated. I almost feel like putting the 3 prints together toned each one of them down a little bit. Like if I had just worn the sweater with pants and no scarf and no overcoat, the sweater would be like print, it would be like Suno swirly print, and it would be like beaming from me. And that would be perfectly beautiful too. I'm not saying that this is the only way that you can wear these things, but I think that by layering it and mixing it with other prints, it just becomes one element in a sort of mosaic. And that's a good trick. It's a good trick for prints. The colors of these prints are all fairly muted, pretty earthy, and that's another thing that keeps it from feeling overstated. I'm not against overstated mixed prints. Like, I love to mix a loud print with a loud print to get something really exciting. This is just a good example of the way in which you can mix a print with a print with a print to get something that just feels kind of comfortable and fluid, but has that edge, you know, of something exciting. I went with simpler choices though for the rest of the outfit so that those elements could recede into the background and allow the 3 printed things to kind of spring forward as the main event. I'm just carrying a very old leather kind of work bag that I have that was from Zara ages ago. My pants in this picture, although I know it's hard to tell, are just a pair of leggings from Olympia Activewear. And I'm wearing these cool Sorel boots that are really comfortable and rugged, but have a nice heel. I remember that it was raining that day and I had to walk quite a ways because I was walking into the garment district to pick up some materials for my business. And that was why I chose to wear those boots. But I think that they ended up looking pretty good with the outfit. I remember feeling very put together on this day. I felt more professional looking than I usually am or than I usually was. Okay, day number 3. Isn't this interesting? It's so different. I feel like this day does have more in common maybe with the first day, but it's also really, really different, right? Because this is all neutrals, all cream, and that was a really bright red. But it's also really different from the second day, but in a weird way, all 3 of them are me, you know what I mean? All three of them are like my version of doing the most. So this sweater is one of my favorite pieces. It's by the brand Paloma Wool. I purchased it with my budget towards the end of 2019, so my second year on YouTube, my beauty budget year. And I had never worn it over this dress before. It's over, I'm wearing it over top of a linen dress. I think it's a vintage dress by the brand Orvis, which is kind of like I think it's like a travel wear, like a sportswear, almost like a version of LL Bean or something. It's a very beautiful quality linen. The dress is probably from the 60s or 70s perhaps. I found it in a Salvation Army shop in Ann Arbor, Michigan when I was there for graduate school, and I think it was like $5 or something. But it's got short sleeves and just like a regular round crew neck like this one, a little elastic at the waist, and then it's got this full skirt. And I'd never paired them together before, but I was trying to think how to do the most. I was probably still really vibing with the idea of like a monochromatic outfit because of that first day and how much I had enjoyed that. And so I came up with the idea. I remember I was lying in bed the night before and I was thinking about wearing this sweater, and then I got the idea of layering it over this dress. And when I put them on together the next morning, I was like, bam. What I hadn't planned on doing when I was lying in bed the night before thinking about it was wearing my sneakers with this, my little laceless pull-on sneakers. And I wasn't sure about it. I kind of wanted white, you know what I mean? I wanted to go with like the theme of wearing white, wearing cream. I wanted it to all be the same color. I'm not very practiced at wearing sneakers with dresses. I know that it's like a cool girl thing. It looks really great on some people, but I think I was always kind of like, I don't know if I am cool enough to pull that off. But when I put these on, I felt like maybe I was doing it. Like I was still not totally sure I was cool enough, but I was like, it's the week of doing the most, so I'm just gonna go with it. I'm doing the most, and if I'm not cool enough to pull it off, then who cares? And it was great. I really loved it. I loved the feeling, the sort of spunky feeling of having this special sweater with this statement stitching on it, this full skirt, heavy linen skirt, and then being able to sneak around in my sneakers. I really like feeling free. I like it when my clothes make me feel free to kind of be sporty. I mean, obviously I'm not wearing like athletic wear every day, but I like it when the clothes aren't necessarily athletic or athleisure, but I feel spry and sporty in them. I don't like feeling like I can't really move in my clothes. So I feel like wearing the sneakers with this outfit really brought it there for me in terms of like the freedom to leap around and be spry. As you can see from the picture, I also took Sadie to work with me on this day. It was a short walk between our apartment and our studio, so I often took her with us because she's the kind of cat who just loves to be with us. She just gets a big kick out of being with us. She's always pretty much in the room in the house where we are, if she can be. And I just remember she was kind of restless and bored that week. Maybe she could sense with her little spidey senses that something was coming, like something was about to change. But I just remember she was like fussing in the apartment, and I was like, girl, you're coming to work with me today. So I put her in her little cat backpack and brought her with me to work. I think I said that I thought that the first one was my favorite, but I think that this is one of my favorites. This might be my favorite. And I know you can't see it very well in the picture, but I'm carrying another Teddy Blake bag, which is just like a smallish black leather tote with a red interior that's very beautiful. I'll try to remember to link that too. Okay, this I feel like was my biggest fail. I did not like how I looked on this day. I think I wasn't really convinced that I was quite doing the most. I didn't really like the way that the boots looked with the dress. Okay, so the thing that I think that was good about this outfit in terms of doing the most is that I was mixing prints that had the same colors, the same color scheme, but different prints, which is one of the surefire ways to mix prints, right? If the two prints have the same exact colors, but one's graphic and one's floral, for example, and they're like around the same size, then they'll mix beautifully. And that's kind of what was going on here. So I was wearing my Louise at Sea boots that have kind of like a bold leopard print on them. So like a slightly warm taupe mixed with the black and in a leopard printy swirl. I was wearing this dress that also has kind of a pale warm taupe stripe with black. And then I was wearing a headband that is also leopard print. So it also had kind of like a deep wheat color background with black on it. So these three prints all worked really, really well together. And so in theory, it would be good, but I just feel like the silhouette didn't work out to be, I wasn't feeling myself. There was the bow in the hair, the bow on the headband, with this dress, with the shoes, they just didn't really sing together. And I remember putting them on and not being sure, and I was like, should I wear the coat or should I not wear the coat, or should I change my shoes or what? And then I just was like, I have to get out the door. So I feel like I made an attempt to do the most, and it didn't come together in this case. It's not bad, it's not horrible. It just doesn't give me all the feels like the other outfits do. And just briefly, this dress is from COS as well. That's the Teddy Blake bag I was just talking about in the other picture. The shoes are from Nordstrom's. The brand's called Louise at Sea, and the headband is from Donnie. Okay, I think this maybe is my favorite. All the ones I like are my favorite, but this is like well, I was about to say that it's a little bit of an easy one. Like I feel like this is an outfit that sells itself. Like it does the most just by existing. This is my Aviator Nation tracksuit that I purchased with Julia's help on my birthday. And it hadn't been that long ago. This was in March and my birthday's at the end of February. So this is one of the first times I had really like worn it as an outfit. I purchased the pants and Julia purchased the matching zip-up hoodie for me, and I still love it, and I wore it until it got so hot that I absolutely could not, and I cannot wait until it gets cool enough to start wearing it again, because it's an outfit that really works for work from home. Like this outfit transitioned into the pandemic times really, really well. But what I really love about this OOTD for doing the most is the way that it works with these boots, these printed boots. Like the natural thing to wear with this tracksuit is sneakers. And that's what I would have done. If I hadn't been doing the most, I would have just put sneakers on. I would have felt like this was like a bit much, you know what I mean? But because I was trying to be a bit much, I put it with these printed boots with the little pearls on the heels, and I absolutely love it. This is like my favorite way that I've ever worn this tracksuit. And it's pretty cool that it goes so well with that brightly colored Guinness New York backpack too. I feel like this next outfit is a case in which I remember really loving the way that it looked, and I feel like it was hard to really get a good picture. Like I think that this is one that actually looked better in person than it does in the picture. This is a top that I had rented. It came in my Nuuly box that month, and it's also, like the overcoat, one of my favorite things that I tried from Nuuly over the couple of months that I was renting from them. It's a sweatshirt. It's made out of a sweatshirt material, like really soft on the inside, fleecy on the inside, and smooth on the outside. And it only has one sleeve, and it has a puffed shoulder on that one sleeve. And then as you can see, the other shoulder is completely bare. It was also great for videos. I think I said this on camera before, but if I had more budget, if I hadn't already spent too much of my budget, if I was kind of like free to buy things that are this expensive, I think it was something like $70, I would totally have bought this. And I don't wish I had bought it because it was good logic. When I didn't buy it, it was sound logic. But I wish I had it. Like I miss it. And I do really like this brand Selkie. I actually followed them on Instagram, and I like the poofy dresses that they make. So that top was really great. I paired it with these ALC pants that I had purchased at a sample sale a couple of months previous, my black Teddy Blake bag. This is a classic example of an outfit that's all about the silhouette. One of the ways to play up a silhouette is to play down color and print. So when the outfit is all black, the silhouette is really what's on display. And with this one shoulder top, the silhouette is really what's on display. So I felt like by adding these like wide leg slouchy pants that are also very about the silhouette to this one shoulder poofy top that's very about the silhouette, and having them both be black. So it's almost like some kind of jumpsuit, right? It doesn't look like a jumpsuit, but you know what I mean? It looks like one idea, one thing from shoulder to ankle. And then having both elements be really editorial in their silhouette. That's one way to put together, I feel like a foolproof doing the most outfit. And I was really, really happy with this. If I owned this top, I would wear this outfit all the time. And just to drive the point home, I will say, I think that if I had worn a different bag with this, it would have destroyed the effect that I'm talking about. So imagine if I had my red Teddy Blake bucket bag with this. It would have been much more dynamic, and by making it more dynamic, it would have watered down the effect of the silhouette that I'm talking about. And that's the power of choosing one element, in this case, silhouette, and just allowing everything else to take a back seat. Okay, day 7 of doing the most. This was like an easy one. Totally easy out, because this dress is just an outfit unto itself, right? And it totally holds its own. So it looks great with the red Teddy Blake bucket bag. I was also wearing my boots, those same boots with the pearl heels and the leopard print, and it holds its own with those as well. This is, like shoulder to hem editorial ruffles, a dramatic maxi length, just really fun to wear. And from the beginning of this project, I was like, on one of these days, I'm going to wear that dress. But I decided to wait until I just kind of felt like I didn't have a better idea. And by day 7, I was like, okay, it's time to pull out that dress. This dress is also kind of like the quintessential do the most for me, because I love wearing this dress. It's like one of my favorite outfits that I own, but I never wore it to work. I never wore it because I was like, why? I felt like I was wasting it. It's not like a box of cereal where like every time you pour yourself a bowl of cereal, there's one less bowl of cereal left in the box. It's not like that. It's a dress. I could wear it once a week for probably years before it wore out. So it wasn't sound logic. And that's why this doing the most project was such a good idea for me, because I really loved it. I loved wearing it. I really felt my oats in it. And I only wore it because I was doing the project. The other interesting thing about this still from my Instagram is that you can see that I wrote hashtag social distancing, but make it floral. And going back one day, I'm seeing that I actually had written something about social distancing on the previous post, the one that was all about silhouette. I just got carried away talking about silhouette, so I didn't say anything about it. I wrote, don't worry, I am hashtag social distancing, but I'm on my way to work alone in my studio. And I remember writing this note on the post because I was still going to work, even though we had been instructed as to what social distancing meant, and I had fully subscribed to that. I definitely wanted to be doing the most that I could do to stop the spread of the disease, to flatten the curve. But my workplace and my home were so close together that I could get back and forth between the two of them without seeing anyone, without being close to anyone. I was still able to go to work even though I was social distancing. But the phrase social distancing, the concept of it, had become so present in our lives that I felt like I needed to clarify that I wasn't a person who was choosing not to social distance or who wasn't taking it seriously, that I was able to continue with my doing the most project just because of my particular work circumstances. So the fact that I put this note on this post on day 6 is a testament to the fact that it had really become real. Like social distancing had become necessary. COVID had really set in by about halfway through this project. But it's funny to look back at the day before when I was wearing the tracksuit. That day I hadn't had to write, don't worry, I'm social distancing. That was the last day. The day where I was wearing the Aviator Nation tracksuit, that was the last day that I wasn't social distancing. And then the very next day I was, and I wrote a note about it. And then to get back to where we were, day 7, the floor length floral dress, which by the way is by a designer. It's Moschino. I never know if it's pronounced Moschino or Moschino. All I can think of is Rich Lux calling it mosquito, but it's the Moschino Cheap and Chic. There's like this subset of that brand. I got it at Nordstrom Rack like 7 years ago, and it was on sale for $100. I remember at the time. That was before my no-buy year, when I still had a voracious shopping problem. And I can't say I regret buying it. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that now, but it's such a great piece in my wardrobe. I'm really glad that I have it. It was a great find. One of those kind of like, you don't know where it came from. Like maybe it was like bought and altered and then returned or something, and it just ended up in the bottom of the barrel at a Nordstrom rack for $100. And then I came along and I was like, so day 7, doing the most, love the outfit. And you can see that I had also written hashtag social distancing, but make it floral. Again, to reiterate that I was complying with the social distancing rules and trying to do my part. Okay, day 8. I really like this one. This is another monochromatic. Well, it's not really monochromatic because the top and the pants aren't the same color, but it's like these pale earth tones. So the top is a little more wheat colored, the pants are a little bit more just like a cream colored linen. And then I have the black leather shoes and the black leather bag. So it's like black leather on one hand and like pale textural natural fibers on the other hand. And I think that one of the things that makes this work is texture, right? I think if you have like a wheat colored sweater or top, I mean, sweaters are almost all textural, but if I had like a wheat colored top that was just maybe just like an ironed cotton or something, like a cotton woven, and then pants that were just I don't know, like polyester fabric, like a polyester woven, and both of those fabrics were just like didn't look like they had any gush or squish or nub or weave or anything, but just were more flat. It would still look good. Like I think that you can make a beautiful outfit out of not so textural fabrics, especially if you're working with this kind of like monochromatic, pale, minimalist palette. But to me, the texture is really what makes it, and also the oversized nature of both parts, but especially the top. So a very oversized textured sweater in a nice minimalist monochromatic palette color on top of and draping down over relatively oversized pants that are in the same palette. Like that's just a look that I really enjoy. And this is a great example of it. The thing that made this outfit a real doing the most moment for me is that I was wearing these Cuckoo Bananas shoes, these like amazing shoes that I have that I bought again way back before my no buy year when I had a shopping problem and I probably shouldn't have done it. I bought them new. They're from Halo Shoes, which is like this little incredible shoe shop in Portland, Oregon. And they are really high. They have like this high wooden wedge with a little wedge of space between the heel and the other heel. I don't think I have, I think that it would be kind of, I don't want to interrupt Joe. I will interrupt Joe. I'm gonna go get them so we can show them to you. I'm glad I went to get them because you can't really see in this picture how special they are. They're, peep toe, they've got this little slit in the front, but this is what really makes them special. It's like this high heel with this little gap. And then, the way that the heel kind of floats off of there. I've had them for a really long time and, they're not in good shape because I have actually worn them a lot. I do like wearing these to events and stuff like that. Like they give me great height and they just look great with almost everything. But I would never, ever wear them just to work. Like I had never, ever done that. And so I really felt myself with wearing this sort of slouchy, oversized, cream colored stuff, which is something that I would have worn to work. Like I wouldn't have felt like I was just doing the most if I had just worn this sweater with these pants. But because I was wearing these instead of sneakers or just slides or something like that, it really elevated the outfit. But what's funny about this is you can see it has a note on here that says I donned this look to FaceTime with my therapist, hashtag social distancing. And I remember that this was my first therapy appointment that wasn't face-to-face. And I, got on a video chat with my therapist. I walked over to the studio to do it. But I remember that I wasn't going over there to work, even though it was a work day. I was just going over there to have my therapy appointment separate from Joe because we only had one room in our apartment. We lived in a studio apartment. So I was like going to therapy at our workplace so that I'd have some privacy to talk to my therapist. And I don't think I worked that day, even though it was a weekday. So already the pandemic was making work unstable enough and making our business kind of questionable enough. Like we didn't know what was going to happen. And I just went and I had my therapy session and then I went home and continued to try to figure out with Joe what we were going to do with our business and our lives. And then the next day, this I feel is a disappointment. And I remember this was actually the last day that I worked. That's kind of crazy. This is the last day that I worked at my job as a person sewing Tango clothes. I remember it because I took Sadie on that day. I have a great picture of her on that day in the studio, looking out the window, sitting on her little sheepskin on my cutting table. I'll put that picture on the screen. My cutting table, which we don't have anymore because we couldn't, it was too big to move and too big to store. So this is like reminding me that these pictures are really a relic of this very transitional time. And I mean, you know, I think we felt like something really unusual was about to happen, but we certainly didn't know what the actual fallout was going to be of COVID. But I don't like this outfit. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. These pants were a rental and I hadn't actually worn them. They were in the box from Newly. I did like them. I liked how they fit, but I just shouldn't, I wish I hadn't paired them with a sweater. I don't particularly like the color blocking of the orange backpack with the green sweater with the black and white pants. I just feel like, you know, no individual thing in the outfit is bad. Like everything fits fine and the colors individually, the pieces are fine. But I just feel like the combination isn't very inspired. The best thing about this picture is Sadie's little face looking out from her cat backpack. She hates being in the cat backpack, but she does love being with us. She did love being with us at work. So, you know, we put her through it. We put her through the trial of being in the cat backpack so that she could be with us at work. So that was day 9 and I went to work and I remember I sewed some things. Like I sewed this kind of faux, I had like this neoprene fabric that was a faux leather. And I sewed like a little like long sleeved crop, sort of slightly oversized long sleeve crop kind of thing that at that time I was planning to sell in my online shop. I think that the next day was maybe a weekend, still a weekend day. And we heard that our building was going to be closed, the building in which we rented space for our studio. And so we realized that we weren't going to be able to go to work and we didn't know for how long. And we got the news, I think at something like 10 p.m. And the building was still open for the rest of that day. I believe that our work building, when we were renting space there, closed either every night at midnight or whatever day of the week it was on that day. I don't remember the details. It was going to close at 11 p.m. or midnight. We had like 1 or 2 hours left where we could access the building. And we were in bed about to go to sleep when I saw the email that said that the building wasn't going to open the next morning, basically indefinitely. So Joe and I got out of bed. We were like in our pajamas. We got out of bed and we went over there in the middle of the night and rescued my plants and got a couple of things, other things that we thought that we might need if we're going to be confined to our apartment indefinitely. So there was a desk over there and Joe's computer and his work stuff. Just, you know, we needed a chance to get in there and get our stuff out. And as I was coming back into the building with my plant in tow on one of the trips that we took, I snapped this picture in the mirror because I was like, this is my OOTD. Like, this is the most I'm going to do today. And I think you can tell, but I'm wearing the Michelle Waugh coat over the Aviator Nation tracksuit and my sneakers. I mean, I just put it on because it was the most comfortable and appropriate thing, but I do kind of end up, I do like how it ended up looking. And I do feel like it's doing the most in a little bit of like a layered IDGAF kind of way. And then the next one is the very last one, hashtag doing the most from home. I guess that this is day 11, so the project ended a couple of days early. If I was planning to do it for 2 solid weeks, it was brought to an early end by the pandemic. So this is what I was wearing on our very first day officially of quarantine. Our work building was closed. We couldn't go there. We weren't going anywhere else. Everything was canceled. Our friends who were planning to come into town and party with us that weekend, stayed up in Portland and, everybody started staying put and I stopped documenting my outfits. I have had sort of an interesting relationship, I feel like, with doing the most or putting on makeup or putting on clothes since then. But I feel like that could be its whole own video. Like, how has it been between me and makeup and between me and clothing? How has it been between me and fashion since the beginning of quarantine? But for this video, I'm just going to leave it there. Although I will say this velour top from NSF hasn't made an appearance yet. And so I'll just tell you that I got that at a thrift shop on that same trip when I was out shopping with Lauren. And I talked about it because it was one of my budget items. And then my shoes in this picture are my one pair of house slippers. I just have one beautiful pair of Armor Luxe slippers that I love to pieces. They were a Christmas gift from my sister a couple of years ago, and you can see them in the bottom of this picture. So that's it. That was my attempt at 2 weeks of doing the most. That only lasted, I guess, 11 days and was interrupted by the global pandemic that we are still experiencing. It was fun to go back through here and remember that I feel like there were some hits and misses and to think about what made the hits hits. And I feel like what made the misses misses, I wasn't really able to articulate very well. I think that what made them misses was that they weren't hits. And I didn't keep tinkering with the outfit until I felt like there was something about it that was like really singing. Like I just left all of the elements there kind of jumbled. When your top is cute and your pants are cute and your backpack's cute and your shoes are cute and your headband's cute and you put them all together, sometimes you don't really get something that's cute. Sometimes the whole is not greater than the sum of its parts because it's not always about that. It's not about those individual items. It's about the way that they talk to each other. I'm looking back over this. I feel like that's one of the things that really stood out to me about it. But that's it. Let me know what you think. Like, was this fun? And actually, I feel like the big burning question is, should I do it again? Like, should I try to do 2 weeks of doing the most under these new circumstances? And like, what would that look like? And how would it inform my experience of being in quarantine? And I would be able to maybe compare and contrast that experience with this one. And let me know if you would be interested in seeing me do that on Instagram. And if so, if you'd be interested in seeing me film another video like this, recapping that experience. Thank you for being here. I hope that it was fun to watch this one, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.